Despite severe shortages in fish populations, the demand for fish remains at an all-time high. Now researchers are attempting to fill the void by perfecting the technique of breeding and raising fish in specially designed tanks. Lisa Salters looks at the science of aquaculture.
John Davis isn't your ordinary farmer. His farm sits in an estuary near Carlsbad, California, and his crop is underwater, attached to dozens of empty cooking oil containers.
Between each one of these floats, there's a tube of mussel like this. This tube will grow out and it'll be about twice this or 3 times as big around as it is right now.
Davis has been growing mussels for 7 years, as many as 10,000 pounds a week. Since there is no wild mussel harvesting on the West Coast, he doesn't worry much about competition.
How good is business right now?
Business is very good. Unfortunately, I can't supply the demand, which is terrible, but wonderful.
With the human population growing and wild fish resources shrinking, it's no wonder the aquaculture business is booming. It's doubled in size in the last decade and now provides 1/4 of the fish the world eats.
Half of our shrimp and a third of our salmon now come from farms, and although the Chinese started farming carp 5,000 years ago, large-scale commercial aquaculture is relatively new. But it is being perfected to a science. At Kent Sea Farms in the California desert, these tanks produce as many striped bass annually as are being caught in the wild. By modifying room temperature and lighting in the hatcheries, fish breeders are able to extend the spawning period, keeping striped bass eggs in constant supply.
Our fish thought it was fall about 6 months ago. So they have now been producing eggs and have eggs of about 700 microns in size, which is the size they need to spawn now.
Fish are often grown in man-made ponds like these. At this catfish farm in the Imperial Valley, the ponds yield 3,000 pounds of catfish per acre per year. Like the explosive growth of the poultry industry 40 years ago, aquaculture is making more fish more available all year round.
We're just starting some of the genetic programs and the breeding programs and things like that. We're just scratching the surface.
Some farms are even exotic. Near California's Salton Sea, Bill Engler raises tilapia, a fish native to Africa. Engler uses geothermal water that emerges from the earth at 140 degrees and is then cooled to 85 degrees, the perfect temperature for tilapia. From hatching to harvest is 8 months, if that is, all goes well.
I can lose one of these ponds that have 40,000 pounds of fish in it in a half an hour if somebody's not watching it or something goes wrong. So it takes a lot of attention.
Growing fish also takes a lot of food to feed them. Tilapia and catfish are increasingly being fed soy-based pellets. But for the more preferred species like salmon and striped bass, it still takes fish to make fish.
The public perception is that, well, we'll just grow fish and we'll make ponds and we'll grow fish. Well, to feed those fish, we have to fish the ocean to get the food required to feed those fish. And so the laws of diminishing returns come to play.
Aquaculture is currently easing the burden on our depleted oceans, but ironically, unless science can find a way to grow fish without catching fish, aquaculture may someday become yet another form of overfishing. Lisa Salters, ABC News, Los Angeles.